Hello and welcome to another So You'd Like to Get Into Gaming. Today's episode is going to be about classic games. Now, my channel, when it started about 21 years ago, was basically started to review classic games, and then I got into indies and stuff, and then a bunch of personal and mental health issues happened, and I had to quit YouTube. But I'm back, and one of the series of videos that I wanted to do was to help people get into video games. And because classics are kind of my bread and butter here, let's be real, I kind of have a lot of say about this, and all of my recommendations of this video series is basically the Switch 2. I feel is a great beginner's console to get into, and part of that is because of the amount of classics you've got. The problem is there's so many games here. This is definitely going to be an info dump video. I understand this may not be helpful for everyone, but I've entitled it So You Want to Get into Classic Games for a Reason. I'm going to load up every single one of these apps with the exception of the Virtual Boy, because you actually need to buy a peripheral for that, and I don't have it. I don't want to spend £70 on a piece of plastic or £20 on a piece of cardboard for something that's just going to fry my eyes. It is maddening that at this moment in time they didn't make a flat screen version, and by that I mean literally the ability to just launch it like this, because you could have so easily done that, Nintendo. You truly could have. The fact that you even advertised the games like that and still didn't make it an option for people. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, not trying to bitch or anything. I'm going to go through all of these apps with you here, show you what's available as of the time of recording, and actually try to mention, I'm not going to go through every single game. I really can't, and I don't want to go through too many games. There's already, I think here, there's like 20 games I would want to recommend. I'm going to try to do a very brief overview. So let's get this started with, because there are so many games to cover. So starting up, I've set everything alphabetically. Donkey Kong, this is usually called Donkey Kong 94. It's an exceptional puzzle game. Donkey Kong Lands are pretty decent platformers. Dr. Mario is a good puzzle game. I cannot mention every game. I understand there's going to be some people out there screaming about the likes of Gargoyles, but I haven't even played it, to be honest, but I do know it is considered decent. Kirby's Dream Land is a pretty fun game, and Dreamland 2, I've never got around to playing it, to be honest. Zelda, these are definite recommendations. Link's Awakening, Oracle of Ages, and Oracle of Seasons are three of the best top-down Zelda games you will ever play. Genuinely amazing games. I've heard a lot of great things about Mario Golf and Mario Tennis because they're RPGs, but I don't actually like these versions of the games, to be honest, because I like to just play sports games as a sports game, not an RPG. The Mega Man games are okay. Honestly, I'd say skip Metroid 2 on the Game Boy. It's not that it's a bad game, but there's better versions of it. Super Mario Land is not a great game, but Super Mario Land 2 is, and Wario Land 1, which I'm starting to think isn't available. I cannot believe this. I'm genuinely shocked. I would say Wario Land 1 is one of the best places to start in the Wario franchise. And then you've also got Tetris, which I'm assuming you'll have heard of Tetris. Everyone kind of knows Tetris. And yeah, it's a good place to start if you want to get into classic puzzle games. So, let's move on to the Super Nintendo app now. And I don't want to be doing a bunch of cuts and edits, so I am probably just going to do filler while these load at the end of the day. So let's start here, and there's going to be even more to mention here. I'm going to start with Breath of Fire 1 and 2 are great JRPGs. The Donkey Kong Country Trilogy are exceptional platformers. A lot of people like 2 more than 1 and 3. I personally like 1 more than 2 and 3, but they're still great games. Earthbound, it's a very famous RPG. I personally don't like it. F-Zero, great racing game. Kirby Superstar, a bunch of games in one. Only a couple of them are actually genuinely good. Killer Instinct is a genuinely great fighting game. Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, another top-down Zelda game that is absolutely magnificent, and people keep hoping it gets remade. Kirby's Dream Land 3, not the best of the Kirby games, but if you liked 1 and 2, you'll hopefully like that. Moving on though, Pilot Wings is a decent... I don't even know what genre Pilot Wings would be. I've played it so many times over the years. I guess simulator? It's like kind of a weird sports flight simulator thing where you're practicing with different things, like being able to land a biplane or fly through rings. It's weird, but it's great. Poppin' Twinbee, really, really good shoot 'em up. And speaking of shooters, Star Fox. Now, personally, 1 is a lot better than 2, and it's also known as Starwing in Europe, and I personally think Starwing's a much better name. But Star Fox is an Unreal shooter, and it's such a brilliant game. It still holds up to this day. Super Mario All Stars is a great way to play some of the Nintendo Entertainment System Marios in a better way. I've always preferred Mario All-Stars to the original NES versions, but the NES versions still hold up. Super Girls and Ghosts, super brutally hard action game, but it is still fun. Yoshi's Island, another hard platformer, but it is still really good. I'm a heathen who hates Super Metroid, but it's a great place to start with Metroidvanias. If you hate it, then welcome to the club and try something else, because I love this franchise, I love this genre. I just do not like this game. Punch Out, I personally prefer the original Punch Out to Super Punch Out, but Super Punch Out's very popular. It's a boxing game where the whole point is you have to recognize patterns and beat boxers essentially by figuring out when to dodge, duck, dip, dive, weave, and all of that stuff. I've just realized I'd set all of this up with the exception of the Nintendo Entertainment System. I thought I'd skipped a console, but it doesn't really matter. It's not as if I needed to go in chronological order, which is probably just as well because it's going to download an update. So let's move on to the Game Boy Advance instead while that does its thing. Game Boy Advance was one of my favourite handhelds, and there are so many fucking games on this app, like so many of the absolute greatest games on the Game Boy Advance. Mario vs. Donkey Kong, it's basically a sequel to the Donkey Kong 94 that I mentioned earlier. Fire Emblem Sacred Stones is a great tactical strategy RPG. You get 3 F-Zero games on this. Climax was Japanese only. GP Legend, I don't actually like. It's kind of got a campaign mode, which isn't particularly very good, but Maximum Velocity, great, fantastic racing game. Wario Land 4 is one of the better Wario Land games, and it still stuns me that 1 and 2, I was honestly sure all of the Wario Lands were available. The Game Boy Advance version of A Link to the Past, I actually think might be better than the SNES version, but it's one of those 6 and 2 3s, it's one of those preference things. Metroid Zero Mission and Fusion, now those are 2 Metroidvanias that I absolutely adore and would strongly recommend. Golden Sun 1 and 2, absolutely exceptional beginner RPGs for if you want to get into JRPGs. Kirby and the Amazing Mirror is a fun little platformer. This Fire Emblem, I don't think is considered as good as the Sacred Stones. I might be mixing that up, but it's another strategy RPG. You've then got the Super Mario Advance games, which are a lot of the SNES and NES games of Mario, just ported, and they are really good versions of them, to be honest. You have Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, a fun little RPG that is very cutesy and humorous. WarioWare, which is a collection of micro games and is such an amazing game. Minish Cap, I'm one of the weirdest people on earth. I truly do adore Zelda. For whatever reason, I always beat the first dungeon of Minish Cap, and then I just stop playing the game. One day, I'll finally finish it. I've heard exceptional things, and it is supposed to be genuinely really good. So it turns out this doesn't update when you're actually playing it seems. Playing something else, so... to be fair, though, it's not going to take long. I wish I'd realised that in the first place. So yeah, see what I mean about there's going to be some filler between things? Any day now. Any day. Right, there we go. So at least now I can launch this and go through some NES games. I'm trying to actually think off the top of my head what consoles I have left. The Mega Drive / Genesis, the GameCube, and the Nintendo 64. I think that's it. So I figured it would be new games. Ninja Gaiden 2, that is actually pretty decent as well. But now I need to, and I know I hadn't done that earlier on one of the other apps, but go to alphabetical. So the NES is a console that has aged, shall we say. It has really aged, and I'm not trying to sound mean, but there's not a lot of NES games that I truly do feel hold up. Like, I feel if you didn't get into them a long time ago, it might be harder to get into them now, but that's not to say there aren't some genuine good games. Excitebike, for what it is, it's a very basic racer, but it still is fun. Kirby's Adventure is, I still think, one of the best Kirby games available. The Legend of Zelda is still a very good Zelda game. However, it is brutally difficult, and strongly recommend you use a guide if you've never played it before, because there are some things in that game that I genuinely don't know how you were supposed to figure out as a child, and I figured out some of the most cryptic stuff in other Zelda games. Ninja Gaiden 1 and 2, pretty good action games. I'm surprised that 3 isn't available yet. Punch Out is available, thankfully, and it is still a much better game than Super Punch Out, in my opinion. Mario Bros. 1, 2, and 3, and the Lost Levels, again, I think the SNES versions and some of the GBA versions are better, but they're still good games. They still hold up. Wario's Woods, a good puzzle game. Yoshi, another decent puzzle game. Adventure of Link was kind of hated on back in the day, and honestly with good reason. I don't like it at all. Star Tropics, however, absolutely exceptional game. That one does, I feel, still holds up. I don't know how. There's a secret though with Star Tropics. Like literally, I don't mean to say this as a spoiler. It is something that genuinely you might need to look up. So if you ever play the game and you find that you're really stuck, the whole point was when you bought the game physical, so back in the day on the Nintendo Entertainment System, it came with something that you had to literally wet, like run it under a tap to get a clue for a puzzle. I don't know how they've resolved that. I don't know if they've just added in a digital note or something, but if you do play it and you're enjoying it and suddenly you get stuck in a way that you cannot comprehend, Google it because chances are it's that. So, the Mega Drive and the Genesis. There are a lot of great games on this. Alien Soldier, I still feel holds up well beyond Oasis. So Alien Soldier is kind of an action game. I've just realised I'm forgetting to mention the genre. I'm already starting to get frazzled, and there's still more consoles to go. Beyond Oasis is an old school. I'm trying to remember what the genre actually would be. I don't think it's an RPG. It's just like a top-down. Is that one top down? I've got a review of this game on my channel. That's all I'm going to say. Like, if needs be, go check that. Castlevania Bloodlines is one of the best Castlevania games, and it's also one of the only Castlevania games available on these entire systems. You can buy a bunch of them, but for free. That's the only one, and it is a fun side-scrolling action game that's not the most difficult, unlike Contra Hardcore. Very famous game. Extremely difficult. Comic Zone, very famous game, extremely difficult. I do like them, but I don't think they're something I would strongly recommend. Earthworm Jim 1 and 2, one's available on the SNES thing. They're pretty decent, to be honest, and I still like them. They've got some dated humour, though. Dynamite Headdy, absolutely brilliant platformer. Pretty much anything Treasure made is kind of a go-to, and Gunstar Heroes is another Treasure game. I know I've already mentioned it, but Alien Soldier was a Treasure game. I don't think I've missed any. Crusader of Senti might not be the game I'm thinking it is, because I was thinking it was Light Crusader is another Treasure game, and I would strongly recommend that one. I believe is an RPG. Gunstar Heroes is a side-scrolling action game that managed to do some truly impressive stuff on the technology back in the day. Golden Axe, if you want to get into beat-em-ups, the Mega Drive's kind of the way to do it. Golden Axe and Streets of Rage 2 and Streets of Rage 1 are some really good beat-em-up games that are available. Girls and Ghosts is... I actually think this might be better than Super Girls and Ghosts. It's a slightly different game, but it's still very similar, and it is a little easier. Landstalker is, I believe, another isometric kind of RPG that's pretty decent. Musha is a good side-scrolling shoot-'em-up. Pulseman is actually made by the same people who made Pokemon, but it's a side-scrolling action platformer, if memory serves. There's some of these I haven't played in a very long time, as you can probably tell. So the ones I'm more familiar with, like the likes of Revenge of Shinobi, brilliant game. It is a side-scrolling action game, as is Shinobi 3. Ristar is a platformer. There really is a lot of Mega Drive games I would still recommend, to be honest. I'm kind of shocked with how many I'm going through here and how many's on here. Shining Force, good tactical strategy RPG. Street Fighter 2, another good fighting game. Not the best version. I personally prefer the SNES version, but it's the only version currently available. Strider is a good action platformer. Fantasy Zone, Super Fantasy Zone, great side-scrolling shoot-'em-up. Target Earth, another side-scrolling action game that I quite like. Virtua Fighter 2, I've heard a lot of good things about VF2. I personally do not like a lot of Virtua Fighter games. I only really enjoy 5, but I have still heard good things about 2, so maybe give it a go. Vectorman, great game that's got a lot of different... just different forms of gameplay, to be honest. So is Earthworm Jim, that I probably should have mentioned. Earthworm Jim, for the most part, is kind of a side-scrolling action game, but it's got a lot of unique things that happen, and I don't really want to spoil those for either of those games. And then Zero Wing, another decent side-scrolling shoot-'em-up. Thankfully, almost done. I'm going to do a word of warning when it comes to the N64. I love a lot of these games. I truly do. And I do feel quite a few of them actually hold up, as long as you have a Nintendo 64 controller, which is that thing there on the picture of the app. If you try to play these games with an actual Switch 2 controller, so this thing here, I think these games play like absolute shit. Like, I cannot believe how problematic it is to play an N64 game without an N64 controller. I was truly stunned. I thought, oh yeah, I don't need the controller, it's only for nostalgia purposes. No, I actually need the controller, and I strongly recommend, if you want to get into N64 games, to buy that controller. But we have Banjo-Kazooie, excellent platformer, absolutely excellent. Going to piss a lot of people off. I truly do think it's one of the best platformers on the system. It's up there with the likes of Conker's Bad Fur Day, which sadly is not available, but it's probably a tie between those two for the two best platformers on the system. I'm aware Mario 64 exists. Fucking hate that game, always have done. Banjo-Tooie, not that great of a platformer compared to the first one, but still genuinely okay. It's more of a collectathon. Excitebike 64, love the NES game. Cannot stand the N64 game. Never have liked it. It's famous, but it's also very, very difficult, and not in a good way. Like F-Zero is difficult, but I would recommend F-Zero. Great racing game. F-Zero X is one of the best in the franchise. It's probably my third favourite behind Maximum Velocity and F-Zero GX, which that's actually on the GameCube. GoldenEye, I know it's on the other app, but Perfect Dark as well. Great first-person shooter games as long as you have a controller. Harvest Moon 64 is one of the only life strategy sim games available, and it is considered a good one. I'm personally not a fan of Harvest Moon games though, but if you're into games like Stardew Valley, you'll probably like it. Legend of Zelda Ocarina Time and Majora's Mask, they're Zelda games, they're action-adventure, they're exceptional, they still hold up, they're two of the greatest games of all fucking time. Mario Golf is a pretty decent golf sim. Mario Kart 64 and Super Mario Kart, I know I didn't really mention it, they are decent races, but I honestly think they've aged quite badly. Compared to the likes of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is available for you, and Mario Kart World, I truly do feel these have aged quite badly. Super Circuit as well on the Game Boy Advance, it's why I kind of didn't really mention them until now. Kirby and the Crystal Shards is not a good Kirby game. The Mario Parties, you kind of need people like friends to be able to play them, but they do hold up. Mario Tennis, I still think this is the best Mario Tennis game, and it's not even close. If you have never played a tennis game before, I understand sports games may sound boring. Mario Tennis is so much fun, so exciting, and it's definitely better with people to play it against, but even going through the tournaments by yourself holds up really well. Paper Mario, great JRPG, a lot of humour, very child-friendly as well. Pokemon Puzzle League is a special kind of puzzle game, and it is a very good one, to be honest. It used to be known as Tetris Attack, but it's a pretty damn good game. Pilotwings 64. Love Pilotwings on the SNES, love Pilotwings on the 3DS. Not the biggest fan of 64, it's still okay, but it's not amazing. It's another one of those weird flight, kind of doing a lot of different things, trying to practice with some finicky stuff games. I'm struggling to figure out what the genre would actually be called on that. Pokemon Snap. It's a first-person game where you take pictures. It's super wholesome, super fun, genuinely holds up. Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2, you only really play them for the mini-games. You can technically beat the games without being able to bring your own Pokemon in, but I've seen people do it on YouTube, and it's kind of a brutal challenge. I don't know what they were thinking putting those on, outside of the fact that, oh, this is a way we can kind of give you a Pokemon game. Rayman 2, really good 3D platformer. Ridge Racer 64, really good racing game. Sin and Punishment, third-person on-rails action shooter, very fun, amazing game, truly does hold up. Star Fox 64, known as Lilac Wars over here, probably the best version of Starwing. Truly brilliant game. It's got a lot of callbacks and throwbacks to the SNES games, and it still is considered by many to be the best and the last great Star Fox game. Super Mario 64, a lot of people like it. I just don't, okay? I truly don't, but try it out. It's a 3D platformer. It's popular for a reason. I just don't like it. Part of the reason why I prefer Banjo-Kazooie, you go into a level, you have to collect jiggies, which are jigsaw pieces, and you have to collect, I believe, 10 per stage and get all of the... Hang on, jiggies, I might be getting mixed up. Jiggies might be the music notes, maybe not. Either way, you have to collect 10 of something and 100 of another thing, and collecting all of them in a level is possible. Super Mario 64, you have to collect stars. You go into the level, you collect a star. It kicks you back out. You go back into the level, you retrace a lot of old ground, collect a second star. It kicks you back out. I do not like that. I do not find it fun. It always annoyed me. I understand I'm a heathen with this, but yeah. 1080 snowboarding, very difficult snowboarding game, but it is still kind of fun. Wave Race 64, exceptional racing game. I would kill for Wave Race to come back. I do not know why Nintendo seems to ignore so many of their really old franchises. And even 1080, while I was never the biggest fan of it, you could actually make a modern day 1080 game that I'm pretty sure I would like, because now that the Tony Hawk's games exist, we've kind of been able to figure that out. On the adult side of things, Perfect Dark, great first-person shooter, it still holds up. Shadow Man, good action adventure, still holds up. Turok 1 and 2, 2's better than 1, but they are decent first-person games. Personally, I have never been the biggest fan of them, but I do still like them, and I like them a lot more now that they've been modernized, because that's another one of those moments where you can actually get the game as a newer thing on the Switch 2. Basically, you can get like a remake of them, and I'm just realizing now when I've recorded the first-person shooter video, I probably should have included those, but like I don't think they're must-plays or anything, they're just available. So the update for this, I know fine well what game it must be installing. I didn't realise it was out, so I'm going to mention it here. Pokemon Gale of Darkness, I think it's called. XD Gale of Darkness. It's a JRPG. You should be able to get that from now, and I've heard good things. Never played it. I'm actually looking forward to trying it. But at the moment, there aren't a lot of GameCube games. We have Chibi Robo. It's a weird one. If you love it, you'll love it. If you hate it, you'll hate it. It's just doing a bunch of weird things game. You're basically playing as a robot trying to clean up, but at the same time you're fixing a person's marriage, if memory serves. Like it's a very bizarre game. F-Zero JX I've already mentioned, one of the best racing games available on all of these systems. Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, another exceptionally good strategy RPG. Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, again, I'm a heathen. I personally don't like it. I think it's the weakest Zelda game out of all the Zelda games I've mentioned, with the exception of Link's Adventure on the NES. It doesn't have a lot of content, and you do a lot of sailing. So much sailing that when it actually came out, I managed to beat all of A Legend of Zelda A Link to the Past on the Game Boy Advance by setting course, sailing to my destination, and then picking up my Game Boy Advance and playing the game, because I needed something to do, because there was just so little to do in that game. But I am one of the few who doesn't like it. A lot of people love it. Give it a try. Luigi's Mansion, it's not a horror game, but it kind of is. It's great. It's cutesy. It's a run-around action-y game where you're basically being a Ghostbuster, sucking up ghosts with a vacuum cleaner. Very fun. Very, very good game. Still holds up. Mario Smash Football, absolutely exceptionally good football game. Obviously, it'll be known as, I think it's Super Striker Soccer, or Soccer Strikers, or Mario Smash Soccer Strikers. It's something like that in parts of the world where it's known as soccer and not football. Soul Calibur 2, easily, hands down, I feel the best fighting game you can play on all of these services. Mainly because, as much as I like Killer Instinct is a little difficult to get into. And again, Street Fighter 2, exceptional, but it's not the best version of it. So Soul Calibur 2, definitely a great place to start for fighting games. And then Wario World, a very fun 3D action platformer. And yeah, I think with that, I am finally done with all of these apps. I know that was a lot. It was a lot for me, and I definitely need a break. So I'm going to say, I truly do hope any of this video has helped you. Obviously this list is going to be outdated at some point, and I'm not going to ever do this again. Like, I doubt even in 5 years time, unless I've added a bunch of new consoles, I won't do this again. If anything, I might just take this video and then record an add-on to the end of it, to be honest, so that I don't have to go through all of this again and can just cover the new stuff. But yeah, until the next time, I truly do hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope, like, if you do not find a game here that you like out of everything I've just mentioned, then not only a classic game is not for you, I just don't think gaming is for you. To this day, these are still some of the absolute best games that you can play. That's one of the best things about gaming. Games hold up really well. Not everything, but games hold up really well, and you can always go back, as well as continuing in the present, you know? So yeah, until next time, I truly do hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope the video's been helpful. Yeah, bye.